Hi and welcome to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Cyrus and this is toontumnetwork in Accra, Ghana. Today's episode is about two distinguished personalities of the African soil who have successfully caught the attention of the majority of the youth and are being entrusted with leadership roles through their well-spoken ideas and a hope for a change on this continent. The first is the current president of Kenya, President William Ruto, and the other is the leader of the Economic Freedom Front in South Africa, Honorable Julius Malema. These two share a few things in common, including their push for a new Africa without borders and a united Africa with one currency. They both agree on the de-dollarization of the African economy and advocating for the respect of the sovereignty of African countries and the AU. But even though they seem to be at peace on many issues in Africa, there are certain crucial matters which they differ on procedures, and I want to get into that. Let's go. So Malema has recently accused President Ruto of at least three major things. The first is he accused him of being all talk and no action on the issue of de-dollarization of the African economy and fulfillment of his campaign promises. He accuses him of pushing that one currency agenda while he was looking for power, but has since been missing in action. The idea was to push for a common African currency to replace the US of A dollar in Africa as the trading currency. Well, so this is my opinion on that matter. I don't think President Ruto is necessarily backtracking or backpedaling on this push for the single currency. I think he's just one person, and that's woefully inadequate on the continental stage. Most African countries, as it stands now, have their own currency and economic challenges, ladies and gentlemen. And so these things take time to implement. We all want that currency like yesterday, but we need more presidential and corporate head voices in AU to commit to this. So if we had Malema from South Africa push it, and President Ruto and perhaps President Paul Kagame push it from East Africa, and others from other parts of Africa push it at AU meetings, it will give it more life, and that change we all want may be realized quicker. President Ruto took up the seat on September of 2022 and has since been on many platforms, especially on the international stage, talking about the need for a new world and a new world economic and financial system. He has spoken with President Macron of France, Secretary Blinken of the USA, and Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada. Now, for all those who have had the chance to watch videos of those meetings, there was at no point that I feel President Ruto was backpedaling on anything that he stood for while he looked for power. He has never come across to me as one who is shy or intimidated or afraid of speaking truth to power, something which Julius Malema himself preaches at every opportunity he gets. Just take a look at this video of President Ruto addressing Macron.
We need a financial transaction tax at a global level where even countries like Kenya pay. We do not want anything for free. You will pay more eventually because you have a bigger economy. We will pay commensurate to our economy. And we want those resources controlled not by IMF and World Bank. Because IMF and World Bank, you have the final say. We don't have no say. We want another organization of equals, where you have as much say because you pay, as much as we do because we also pay. That's the organization we are looking for. And that is why we are saying we need a new financial architecture, where governance, where power is not on the hands of a few people. We can agree on the governance of the institution. We can agree on the sharing of power so that all of us have access to resources that go to making sure, number one, renewable energy. We invest in decarbonization. Number 2, adaptation, mitigation, smart agriculture. Number 3, restoring our planet, restoring our biodiversity, and making sure our carbon sinks work. This is what we are saying, and we would appreciate a little understanding. We want to be, we are talking the normal. If we continue talking the normal, Emmanuel, we will never solve this problem. Things are not going forward, they're going backwards. Tokenism, installment will not solve this problem. We have a much bigger problem than the installment we are discussing here will solve. You're not hearing us.
I will, if I may,
Yeah.
I will answer you in 2 words to conclude. No, but
And let me just finish one more. When Ajay was saying 1 to 5 or 1 to 1, who is 1 and who is 5? Private sector versus who is 1 and who is 5?
$5 of private sector mobilization for every dollar of money that comes in.
5 from private.
Surely, Ajay. How do you persuade the private sector to bring their money for public good? Private sector is driven by profit, my friend. I mean, unless you persuade me otherwise.
So if you be honest, in this video, I don't see where the man appears short of what we want other African leaders to be. He may appear to be too comfortable when receiving them, but that cannot be misconstrued as not being upfront with his agenda. Mind you, whatever the case may be, you will have to meet the people you want to make the changes with, even if they are your enemies. It's not about the personality per se he's fighting, but the bias system that has been normalized for many centuries. Like, for instance, Malema accuses President Ruto of his reception of King Charles to Kenya by providing him a red carpet and a military salute. Well, I don't know how a Malema-led government will look like in terms of his relationships with presidents of countries he ideologically disagrees with. And I wish he could, tell us more about that. Because per Malema's accusation, he will not provide a red carpet for the king and wouldn't permit a military salute. Now, my question in all that to him is this. How does he intend to meet with people he has issues with, or with their parents, if these petty things bother him that much? A Russian billionaire once said this about progressive power, and I found a lot of wisdom in it. He said, at the top, you need to avoid making unnecessary enemies and focus more on the key components of the process that brings you closest to your agenda. I do not see any crime in welcoming a man that was just about 15 years old at the time Kenya had its independence with a red carpet. Would Malema rather prefer the meeting didn't happen at all because of lack of red carpet? Is that what he's trying to say? And hear Malema on this. Just watch this video and make a decision for yourself.
If President William Ruto means it, because he said so many things, and I can't locate him these days, because the things he said during election and the things he's doing now are two different things. I don't know. Because I heard him saying we need to do away with the dollar and build our own currency. But his actions are not speaking to anything of doing away with the dollar. The latest being putting a red carpet for a murderer, a person who killed the Kenyan people, coming into this country, receiving a red carpet and being saluted by our own army. This is not a Kenyan army, it's not a colonialist army. The Kenyan army is a product of the Mau Mau rebellion, and those who killed our people in the Mau Mau rebellion cannot be saluted by the same army of the children of those who were killed during Mau Mau rebellion.
So you see, the Mau Mau rebellion he mentioned occurred in 1950 in Kenya, when the baby Charles was just 2 years old and could barely distinguish between breast milk and baby formula. I don't know where Malema is driving at with this, because if we all have to pay for the wrongs of our forefathers, I can promise you nobody would go innocent, as a matter of fact. If you honestly believe in the sovereignty of African countries, how about you leave the man alone to push his agenda in a way he sees it best? Because if we all also have to be critical of you, Malema, no Pan-African group in Africa will have to invite you. You support the LGBTQ movement, and you proudly cover yourself in their flag. And you know how distasteful that is to all of our Pan-African leaders and African culture. Does it mean we should also throw, darts at you because you have a different opinion on an issue? Certainly not, Malema. And so let's all be careful in not pumping ourselves to be sort of, some standard when we know that cultures actually matter or vary across the continent. Malema and the ANC party have been consistent with their support for Putin in spite of his attack on a sovereign country, Ukraine, something President Ruto disapproves of. And a similar thing can be said of what's happening between Israel and Hamas, which again, President Ruto supports Israel, which Malema again has a problem with. I am neither here or there on this subject. But my question to Malema is this. Don't people have the right to determine for themselves which group or side to choose anymore, especially for a president of a country? Malema, really? There are bigger fishes to fry on our continent, and that should be of more importance to all of us than some of these issues. Security and electricity crisis are major issues in Nigeria. Illiteracy has engulfed Niger. Food insecurity is threatening South Africa. Poor leadership is scaling Ghana. Coups are becoming a positive alternative on the motherland. And unemployment is staring us in our faces. And here we are being more considerate of our long-distance friends than our neighbors. How about we solve the issues we have here first? Kenya is facing a serious desertification problem. Their rivers are drying up and farmlands are being lost to deserts. There are reports of prolonged droughts in Kenya, which will have a serious effect on the economic livelihoods of the people. How about that? How about we solve that one? And that's coupled with the refugee influx in Kenya. As it stands now, Kenya is the 5th largest refugee hosting country in Africa and the 13th largest asylum country in the world, with over 650,000 registered refugees and asylum seekers. So President Ruto certainly has a lot on his plate. There is a war in Sudan for power, which has sent millions of asylum seekers down to South Sudan and to Kenya. This is what I would say in support of President Ruto for now. He has so far shown real commitment to his campaign promise by opening Kenya to every country in the world. Singapore has been a visa-free to all countries for many years now, and it has only worked in favor of that Southeast Asian country. Let the rest of Africa take a note from this and open up the borders and build interconnecting railways and roads, and let's play it out and see how this option will also help us in our course to development. There is so much work already to be done in Africa, and let's focus on that. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. I'll come your way very soon. Kindly subscribe, like, share, leave a comment to help my channel grow. Thank you. God bless you. And until I come your way again, it is bye-bye for now.